Hey everybody, welcome to the Player's Sake. My name's Trell. I'm your host. Justin is on a business trip right now, so I will be taking over. This is not going to be a typical episode. It's going to be a game reflection vlog episode. I'm going to do experimental since it's just me here. Um, so before I get into that, make sure you check us out on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app of choice. We post every day or every week at 6 a.m. on Fridays. And yeah, be sure to look out for that. So this is, like I said, this is going to be one of my, we haven't done one in a while actually, is a reflections episode or like a vlog style episode. Um, Even though I'm not vlogging, I'm actually just recording. Um, but yeah, I did want to have a discussion about a couple of different things and everything of that nature. I am there are really some interesting topics coming out next week, or some interesting news that came out this week, rather, that I would rather discuss with Justin. And unfortunately, I forgot to introduce our up and coming, our third member, uh, who's going to be in the background, which is DJ. He's going to be in the background. He accepted, helping us out, and he's going to be a part of the Players Take team. So we do have some like new content coming forward and everything of that nature. But that's not going to be from like months from now. So don't even take all this right now as just like a prima donna thing. But I will start out with the games I've been playing. So I have been playing Final Fantasy 13 and some more, and I've been playing League of Legends. Um, I don't know. I've just been having a very interesting journey with League of Legends as an older gamer. And I think this is actually one of the key things I wanted to talk about. As an older gamer, I'm 35 now, and I will be approaching 36. If I had the soundboard like you're 36, I'll be putting it in right here. But yeah, I'm approaching 36 now. I'll be in February. Um, and I mean, we and Justin talked about it a lot, but we talked about it in spurts on the podcast and different topics and things of that nature. But I think as I get older, I do find gaming very interesting. It's an interesting hobby. It's an interesting dynamic, and since the birth of online games, it's become very interesting as well. Obviously, the whole thing with um, we're no stranger to saying that we want short form content or not short form content in games, but more so we want shorter games, right? And uh I hope I have like more younger viewers, maybe even in your or listeners rather, maybe in your like, your college years, or if you're still in college right now, or maybe in high school, or even people who are like 25, 26, like fresh out of school and stuff like that. I was still like out of college, right? I was still living with my grandma. Um, and during college, I was living with my grandma. So the only thing I had to worry about was helping her out in the bills and everything of that nature. So I did have a lot more time to play video games. I had a social life with friends and everything of that nature. Um, they were also gamers too. DJ being one of my best friends. I have like three or four different best friends, and I hold them all to the same tier. um, but yeah, DJ being one of my best friends I met in college and everything of that nature. He played video games as well, and we played a variety of different video games. Um, and there was online like back then, obviously like Xbox 360. Um, Going into so we didn't really get into the PS4, or actually we did get into that was around 2015, 20 no 2013, 2014, uh 2015 we started the new console generation. Um, and there was online gaming, obviously, like that stuff like that. Um, but I feel like as I grew older and everything like that, and I don't know if it was like the culture shock or whatever. I loved online video gaming, um, and I think, uh, and I loved longer games and stuff of that nature. So this is gonna probably be like two parts, right? First part, I'm going to talk about the single player games. Single player games have been, unfortunately, have gone through this ebb and flow. Um, Now we're seeing like a second renaissance or a third renaissance at this point of single player games and things of that nature. and I don't mind it. I love it. The reason why I love whole games like Dead Space remake, the Resident Evil remakes, even Resident Evil 7 and 8 and things of that nature to high regards is because they are 15, 10 to 8 to 10 hours long. Some of them are 15 hours long. They do not waste your time. They get straight to it, and you can put in as much. And then they have games like Mercenary Mode after that, right? Where I don't know. As an adult, I appreciate that. Like, I only have like maybe 5 hours when I come home. From 5 hours, from when I get home, let's say I'll get home at 5 o'clock, and then let's say I go home, I go to bed around 10 or 11. So I got 5 to 6 hours to do something. An hour of that, hour or two of that is probably going to be spent with my wife or something like that. And then, God forbid, I got to study or anything like that. So realistically, I only got like 2 or 3 hours a game. So say like and then on the weekends, I can spend my time gaming, but I have to like plan that shit. I have to like really plan. Okay, like for instance, right when I was playing Xenoblade is an example of a game that's an old school game that's like really long though. Um, but the reason why I think I love Xenoblade so much is because it was easy to follow as far as the plot and everything of that nature. Um, and technically, it is an open world game. It's an open world RPG in these certain zones, but it does have a structure to it. Now, uh, as opposed to a game like Assassin's Creed, where and I'll go post, I would say Origin and beyond. I think all the Assassin's Creed games are super long, but for some reason, Assassin's Creed 1 through like Black Flag, so I think that's 1 through 4. And then you have the little ones in between, like Revelations, Brotherhood, and everything of that nature. Those games can be extremely long, maybe 30 to 40 hours or whatever, or longer than that, actually. But they were structured in a way where they didn't waste your time. And I think that's the difference too between old school open RP, open world games and like the new school open world games. Um, and there's a reason why people call it the Ubisoft effect or the Ubisoft thing, where you just have these nodes and everything like that. Because I personally, and I know there are a lot of people that do like those type of games where there are nodes on the map and you just gotta hit each node. And I think that's my biggest crutch with like Final Fantasy 7 remake or part two rather. There's all these nodes in the map, and it's not as bad as Ubisoft. Don't get me wrong. And actually, I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, despite all the stuff that I hate, I give it. It is a very structured game. It's not the Ubisoft or Odyssey or whatever the case may be. It's very structured and very forward. Now, you can golden path like Assassin's Creed games, like Odyssey and Origins and Valhalla and all that stuff like that. You can golden path it, but I think even if you golden path it, you're still gonna be looking at like at least 40 hours a game. But like getting back to like Xenoblade Chronicles, that game you can golden path too. Um, but for some reason, the way some of the characters are structured and the RPG mechanics make you want to explore other options. And I had to plan out, okay, I'm playing it 3 hours a day, 3 hours tomorrow, whatever the case may be. On a weekend, I can get a good 11 hours in. And I had to like, I made sure though that I spent time with my wife or whatever. But then I allocated that time to like playing Xenoblade or whatever. And then usually on Sundays, like I would like go hiking and then I'll come back, go to the range or something like that. And then I'll come back and I'll just play fucking Xenoblade Chronicles or whatever. And that's how I was able to do that. Uh, and I wasn't really going to class at the time, so I was able to just knock it out. And obviously, if you play a game that you're finding out that you love, it's going to be a lot more. The time's going to fly by or whatever. But there were times where I was just like, I think especially with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, no, 1 actually, it just kept going. Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 1. There was one part where I had to fight like this giant dragon dude or whatever, and then it just kept going after that, and it just kept going. I made it. No, I'm sorry, I made it to the other side, and I won't spoil what that was. But if you play the game, you know what I mean by the other side. And then I fight this boss, and then there's like a whole other section you had to do after that. I believe I could be getting my times mixed up. Uh, but I tried to rush through that game, um, and I wasn't overpowered, or whatever. Actually, I was overpowered in Xenoblade Chronicles One. Two, I tried to rush through. Now two is fucking crazy. Two, Xenoblade Chronicles Two, as far as like the mission structure, first of all, they don't really tell you sometimes where the missions are at. Um, on top of that, you have like this gotcha system that you don't have to pay for. But you get special blades, and then each special blade has a fucking um mission, storyline, everything like that. It's crazy. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is crazy. And I was actually like on level or under level for that game when I beat it, which forced me to use the party or the chain attack system, which is probably why I love that chain attack system so much, because I couldn't brute force my way through like the final boss because he was calling in reinforcements, stuff like that. Anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, even crazier because you can get different team members, and different team members have different things, and then you can swap their roles around, and you can do all this other crap. It's fucking insane. Then on top of that, each one, I believe, even one has DLC. The definitive edition has like a alternative planet that you can or not planet, but land that you can go to, I believe. And then two and three have like tons of DLC as well, which are probably long as well as fuck. So unfortunately, because I didn't get to experience that because I was like burnt out of the game as much as I loved it. And the same thing happened with Dragon Age Inquisition. Now I played Dragon Age Inquisition. The reason I would never play that game again is because the reason I had so much time to play that game and get the build that I wanted was because of COVID. I was at home during the lockdowns. I had the pleasure. I was one of the few lucky people to actually be able to work from home. And yeah, it was 120 hours I put into that game, I believe. And I didn't play none of the DLC. I started to play the DLC, um, but after that, I was just like, I can't do it anymore. Not to mention the game arbitrarily inflates its playtime with these like old school like mobile game mechanics where like I don't know if you guys know like the old school mobile game. They think they still do it now. Or if you want to upgrade something, they put you on a time limit, and you're like, "Ooh, you can pay $5 more to upgrade this time limit." But they don't have a thing you can do that, right? So I had to cheese the system to where I was playing it on my Xbox One, and I had to take my Xbox One offline, change the time, and then change it back again to make the time go faster or whatever. Because they never actually put in a patch for that system, which I think is actually fucking horrendous. Uh, a lot of people are gonna go back and play Inquisition, and they're gonna run into that. And they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And especially you want to get the good armor and stuff like that. So that's what I mean. Where like I feel like video games now do not value your time, and it's probably why also I love character action games, right? There's something about a character action game to where I can always come back to it and then just play it. I may lose my buttons, I may lose my muscle memory for it, but I come back and play it like 2 or 3 hours, I get my muscle memory back, and I'm straight off to the races again. And then I play through the harder difficulties or whatever and repeat it. Because the original Devil May Cry 5, for instance, I believe the original storyline normal difficulty is maybe like 6 to 8 hours, bro. That's it. But those games are designed for you to beat them multiple times. I understand some people don't want to do that, but that's what they're designed for. Um, so I don't know, like I really want to play games like Black Myth Wukong and all that stuff like that and everything of that nature. Um, and I want to play like the new Elden Ring DLC, but bro, I don't have time. And it's not with Elden Ring in particular, right? Not only is the game large, but you're gonna spend at least 2 hours on each boss, and there are a shit ton of bosses in there. You know what I'm saying? And not the I don't know if they have copy and paste in the DLC, but they had copy and paste in the original Elden Ring. So not those bosses, right? You can fuck those bosses up really quickly. I'm talking about the unique bosses, like pertaining to the story or whatever. And I'm pretty sure Black Myth Wukong, they say it's not like a Souls like game, so I'm not going to even put it in that genre. But I haven't looked at the hours, how many hours it is or whatever. But I'm gonna assume it's like 20 hours minimum. And if it is, uh let's actually look that up. Black Myth Wukong game length. So it's around 30 to the main story is around 15 hours, and then it looks like with side quests and everything like that, it may be 32 hours, which I don't think is that bad actually. I think that's decent. Um so I actually might pick this up. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. That's another reason I like Sekiro so much too, bro. It really respected my time as well. I may have spent an hour or two on each boss, the first play around, but the game was just very straightforward. I mean, there's like pseudo open world, like it's like the God of War open linear, which is why I also like God of War 1 very much. God of War 2 really tried to up the ante with the story and everything, but I feel like it just overstayed its welcome by the time I got to the actual Ragnarok part. I was unimpressed. Um and I understand why it was done the way it was because it was still running in my PS4 limitations. Um, Whereas I played it on PS5. So uh so in that regards, like this is not like a back in my day situation. I'm very thankful that developers are really trying to get us to play their games. We have bigger, beautiful, more beautiful games and stuff like that. But at the same time, I really think developers um, need to understand and respect that time. And unfortunately, I am your core audience. I mean, we have statistics to back that up. Like people in my age group are the core audience, and I don't know. We don't got time, bro. Like we are always working unless you're like, super rich or something like that, right? But we're always working and everything like that. So, we may have like a 3 to 5 hours to devote to your game a day. So I think people really need to think about that. And I think even the younger generation, they're not playing your games because their attention spans aren't as big as it used to be. So yeah, if you throw a Star Wars Outlaws at me and you say, "Oh man, it has 90 hours of the content," that is like yikes, bro. I don't know about that. Like I don't think that's like, I don't think that's like where it's at, you know what I'm saying? Um so that's one aspect of it. So like the second aspect of me growing up as a gamer or whatever is online games and stuff like that, and I've really been analyzing this. I actually might make a video about this. I might make a video about a couple things as well. As far as um, vlogging and everything like that. Um, Online gaming in the past, especially as a black gamer, um, definitely was an experience. Now, I can understand how a lot of people a lot of gamers, black gamers or gamers of color in general, especially women gamers, or yeah, especially gamers that are women. Um, I can definitely understand how your experience may be shit. And by what I mean by that is I've been called the N word and stuff like that on plenty of Call of Duty and Halo 2 and 3 lobbies and stuff like that. Um, but for me personally, that was only like I would say 10% of my playtime, right? Let's just say out of now that's not just to say like um I wouldn't hear it every day. You would definitely most likely hear it every day, once a day. But I was also playing my video games a lot. So let's say if I game like 7 hours online, right? Maybe hear it one time, and then there'll be times where I don't hear it at all. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I know that's like kind of crazy to some people, but like it's a reality of the situation. So yeah, like but I also miss how you had to be. It forced you to be social. which is fucking wild saying that in the online video game, bro. Um, I think this generation is also having the newer generation of gamers is also having the same issue they're having with in real life, where they have like a lot of social anxiety skills and things of nature. They're not really talking to each other and everything. Like it, like if you go out, people really don't talk to each other that much. They're all on their phones and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I feel like online gaming is the same. Now, there are aspects to that, right? It's like some people have been harassed in real life as well as online as well. And it's not sometimes, there is a lot of times, right? Um, so we do got to approach it from that angle as far as online gaming and online uh uh social interactiveness and stuff of that nature. And I think it's very interesting because both sides are saying the same thing. Like, and you also have both sides, like online gaming in real life. People are actually desiring to talk to each other, but they just don't know how to fucking do it, right? And then you have like people in my generation who are older gamers. I would say like 27 and up, 28 and up, right? Because I see like Tyler one also talk about this as well. Like League needs a voice chat or whatever. And I actually think, despite me talking shit about the League community, I actually think toxicity will actually go down because you're forced to talk to people now. You can't hide behind the keyboard. Your voice is there. You know what I'm saying? And like that's an actual human being, like that you're talking to. You know, and I think I'll be the first to admit I think we took advantage. We took not advantage, but we took for granted the idea of actually hearing another human voice on the other side of the mic when I was younger. Because we used to say things, oh, you're hiding behind the mic. You know, you wouldn't say that to me in real life or whatever. But now it's like, oh, you're hiding behind the keyboard. You wouldn't actually say that to me. And also there's some kind of humility and empathy if you probably get ganked or you die or your jungler's having a really bad day or something, they can kind of vocalize it like, "Hey man, like listen, I'm on a 5 game losing streak. Please be patient with me." You know what I'm saying? And that would be like, "All right, I understand, bro. Like we will help you out." You know, now not to say every game's gonna go like you're gonna get assholes who scream at you and everything like that. It was like that in Halo. It was like that in Call of Duty. It was like that in everything. But like, it was something crazy. Like my very first online game that I actually had to chat with people on was SOCOM 2. 3. I didn't play SOCOM 2. SOCOM 3. And um I had the mic and you had to push to talk to people. And when I tell you that was like one of the most eye-opening experiences as far as like meeting people from different parts of the country, because you know I was just stuck in Michigan. I was stuck in Detroit at the time. So like hearing different accents from across, like from the West Coast to the East Coast, even like sometimes you'll get people from like the UK talking to you, and that was always funny because we'll tease people from the UK or whatever, um, and everything of that nature. And it was just very interesting. And I made like genuine friends off that. And we would like play online games for years, probably never met each other, and like for years. And it was the same thing with Xbox Live. When Xbox Live came out and everything like that, we um there was a party system, right? And maybe that was the beginning of the end uh for being social on online video games, but there was a party system like the Xbox party system. You can go into your own individual chats or whatever. But a lot of the time we would opt out unless we were playing with the full squad for instance for like Call of Duty, right? Unless we were playing with the full squad, we rarely went into the Xbox party chat. We would be on game chat in the lobbies talking to other people and everything like that, especially like for search and destroy and stuff like that. You had to kind of coordinate with people and everything. It was easier to coordinate with somebody if they just knew there was another human behind the thing. And I think we lost that, right? And we definitely I think we definitely lost sight of what that is and what that pertains to and everything of that nature. And we definitely took for granted that, and we scared people away from actually wanting to talk, because that's why we're in this situation, because of the N words, because of the beads, and you know, harassing women online when they do come on the mic and everything of that nature. They talking on the mic, and you're saying crazy shit to her and everything like that, or you hear what you think is a black dude or whatever, and then you talking crazy to them and shit like that. So it's like I don't know. It was just very interesting. Like now, online gaming is so isolated, and everyone feels like unless you have a dedicated group of friends to play with, it's like weird. Like to be honest with you, it's like why do you even have a friends list on League? Like for instance, that's a good example, right? Why do you have a friends list on League? Like I'm just typing to somebody, and then I can get into a party with them. But like if I had to encounter this person naturally on Summoner's Rift or TFT or whatever through talking to them, um, and I personally believe people are less. I think the racism thing as far as online, y'all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about like actual real life racism. I'm talking about is online. I think it's going down a lot. People are a little bit more tolerant now, and everything of that nature. And if they're not, they just block them. Like mute them. There are tools in place for this type of situation. You know, so it's just very unique. So yeah, it's just very unique in that situation. And I don't know. It's just it's one of those things where you don't know what you have until it's gone and things of that nature. And I actually think it's almost like the dating world. How if you go on like Twitter, or I used to be on Twitter a lot, but even on like Instagram and stuff like that, and all these like dating podcasts, like both sides really desire to be with each other. They just don't know how. So it comes off as anger. And that's how I feel um like the video game shit is popping off right now as well. I think people desire to talk to each other and everything, but just don't know how to do it. So it comes off as angry, and it lashes itself out at different things. I don't. I and we're trapped in these different little bubbles and stuff, our little Discord servers and everything like that, and people don't really talk to each other like that and everything of that nature. And and I don't know. I feel like there's also a unique thing. Like for me, for example, I've met a group of friends. I met like another one of my best friends strictly on Twitter, and like we happen so happen both of us have to be in Dallas, and like me and him like this, and obviously you can't see my hand, but I did like the little finger cross thing, right? But yeah, but like I met him and like we game online and stuff like that, and all that stuff like that, and I don't know. It's just very unique how you can use social media to actually socialize. And I feel like video games can be the same way. Online video games can be the same way. They can go back to that way. I don't know how we do it though. I think we're so far removed from the idea of actually going into a public chat, a game chat. It's so fucking scary now. I tried to do it when I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 when it first came out. It's just for me, it wasn't scary, like right. But then you have like people who are on there like yelling and with somebody did talking to Mike. So now everybody just want to mute themselves or whatever. But then it was like a little brief period when people were just like talking on the new Modern Warfare 2, whatever. Um, I also think like with online gaming, it's very unique as well. I was primarily a console gamer, and when I did do PC gaming, it was for very specific things. Like I don't, which is funny. I don't do MMOs on console like at all. I think that shit's trash. I play MMOs on PC or whatever. I mean, I'd be the best MMO. I'm not the best MMO player at all. I'm actually a trash MMO player, but I love MMOs. Um, and even MMOs have become so unsocial. Um, I don't know. It's like the guilds and stuff like that. Um, People always want to invite you to a guild and everything, and nobody really knows each other. Like I don't know, and that's always been a thing. But like I don't know, the LFG thing, like looking for a group used to be really cool to do, and I liked it better. It's more streamlined, optimized now. Quality of life, a lot of games just have the looking for a group, but I did like it better when I had to go into a dungeon and it would tell you like in World of Warcraft, for instance, right? Old World of Warcraft, it used to tell you like this may be a 2-person or 3-person job quest. and you would have to look for people in chat like, hey man, like I'm looking for somebody to do this this quest, LFG this quest. And people are like, hey, I'll PM you, and they'll PM you or whisper you, and then you guys link up, do the quest, and then maybe y'all are cool and like, hey, I'm gonna do this quest too. Let's do this quest together. And y'all do the quest for the entire zone. And next thing you know, you got an online friend, and every time you guys are online, y'all online or whatever. And there wasn't really a voice chat though, but that was just unique. Voice chat wasn't really a thing like that when World of Warcraft came out. Um, so as far as on the computer, right? So I think that was just very unique, in a very unique situation. Um, and I don't know, I just kind of missed that certain type of stuff. I really wish like the younger gamers can get more vocal, or not more vocal, but more social. Like the meme is like when you're talking to somebody, like, hey, what do I say, chat? Like they're actually talking to a streamer, like they're a streamer. Like that's their mentality now. And it's kind of weird, but it's also funny because it's like you're seeing the culture like evolve in real time or whatever, um, and everything. And I don't think the whole social interaction thing should be through like just chat. I think you should actually like talk to people and everything. I think that's why when streamers do co-streams with each other and everything of that nature, it gets big numbers because people actually desire that interaction with each other, especially especially with gaming in general. It's not taboo anymore to be a gamer, so there shouldn't be any taboo to talk to each other on games. And I really just wish people would talk to each other more. I wish developers, I don't want to say force players to talk to each other, but give more tools for players. Like make default options for you to just be in game chat or whatever. Um, I don't know. I just want people to communicate more with each other and everything of that nature. Because it does lead to people thinking, oh, all my teammates are, because I say it all the fucking time, all my teammates are bots and everything. But if I had another human I was actually hearing on the line instead of typing them all the time, I would be like, wow, okay, maybe my this person isn't a bot, they're just having a bad fucking day. And I can respect that, you know. And I think the second part to being on growing up and getting older as far as being an online gamer is the meme that, you know, you always hear like, oh, these people just want to come home and, you know, they get off their 9 to 5 and just want to play their games. And I did that as a 20-year-old, bro. I used to come home from school or come home from my job as well. Like if I didn't have to work, I was at school. If I didn't have to go to school, I was at work. And I used to come home and I just like, man, I just want to play my game. I play online game. I play online like Call of Duty 4, or not Call of Duty 4. I was like, I was in high school when that came out. I would play like you know, even after high school though, I was playing Call of Duty 4 a lot, and like Halo 3 and all these other games, War at War, Call of Duty Wild, War at War, whatever, and Black Ops and stuff like that. And yeah, we would just play those games for hours, man. Like we love those games, and um, you rarely encounter a hacker. So that's the second thing too, man. Um, it's just with the accessibility of the internet, and that just comes with the territory, you know. Um, and on top of that, I was primarily gaming on console, and it's way more harder to hack on console. Not saying it's hard; it's way more. It's not as accessible to hack on console as it is on PC. The hacking situation, even on console now with the strike pack epidemic and the Cronus epidemic, like everybody wants to be a tryhard. And I don't know if to blame that on streaming or to because like on one hand, I am grateful for streaming, right? I am grateful that it popularized and actually made gaming or it contributed to the idea of gaming being a normal societal thing, socially acceptable to be a gamer, and everything of that nature. So I am actually grateful to streaming for that, and the amount of money that people can make from streaming because a lot of people do have genuine good personalities and stuff like that is very wonderful. But on the flip side of that shit, everybody wants to be a streamer now. Every time I log on, I see a fucking TTV loser or whatever. And I shouldn't say TTV loser, right? I'm sorry. I see a TTV person who has aspirations of being a streamer or whatever. So they're like sweating and tryharding in the norms or whatever. And it's like, bro, I just want to play. And even in the rank game, right? Like I'm bronze, bro, or I'm silver, or I'm gold, I'm platinum. Like, bro, stop tryharding so fucking much, bro. Just play the game, bro. And I think that's the disadvantage of me. Like I have a 9 to 5 or whatever. So I can't come home early from school or whatever and then just practice. I have like a family, well, me and my wife and my 2 cats, and I have to prioritize them and prioritize other things and stuff like that. So I can't really practice the games like I wanted to play or whatever. And I think that's very unique to my climb this season. This is the first season where I'm not playing League like full time, like coming home and playing League like as soon as I hop on. Like I may play like for 2 or 3 hours and I jump off or whatever. And it's very hard to climb with that because you have people um who just throw games and shit like that, or maybe you could have done this and that or better, whatever. And I don't want to get into the whole League thing, but like yeah, but cheating is not too much relevant on League as it is like Apex, right? We used to play Apex a lot, and we loved Apex, and we were fucking good. We were fucking bunny hopping everywhere. We got to the point where we were like doing wall jumps and fights and everything. Like we were keeping up with the younger folk. We were doing that shit, bro. We were good as fucking Apex. Um, but bro, we just had to compete with stream. We had to compete with either tryhard streamers who were like legitimately like quitting their jobs and just playing Apex like 15 hours a day, or we were competing with people who were like legitimately hacking. And I think I want to say it's like a 60-40 situation. I think 60% of the people that we were losing to were legitimate hackers. And I mean, obviously, you look at Apex right now; they're having a hacking epidemic or whatever the case may be. But it's not just in Apex; it's like in the other games. I hear about the hacking situation, even in like sports games, like fucking 2K, My Park, fucking Madden and shit. People are hacking and everything of that nature. And I think it's the platform thing because we are playing with PC players, but it's also like now people are like, I want to be segregated again because PC players don't really know how to have fun, man. And I'm sorry, bro, like they don't. Um, and back in the day, honestly, bro, PC players knew how to have fun. Like they may have been weird at times because it was like a weird platform. It was considered a niche platform and everything of that nature. So that's what I mean by weird or whatever. But like now, like almost everybody has a PC and everything, or some type of gaming PC. But they're still super sweaty, like more than average. And I don't know, some things are better and worse because of that dynamic. Um, yeah, I don't know uh how you can stop like that kind of dynamic. And uh playing on PC, like playing first person shooters on PC is legitimately like what the fuck? Like either his mouse is on super sensitivity mode or this guy's hacking. And like most likely he's hacking. And there's a whole bunch of other hacks and there are YouTube showing you how to hack and all this shit like that. And the cheating and the hacking is just insane to me. So I think that's another aspect of like growing up where it doesn't make online gaming as fun. I can handle getting shit on by like a kid who's inspiring to be a streamer and who's been practicing his ass off for 15 hours. I think that's why I'm actually going to go back into fighting games because fighting games is very unique to where I can't blame anyone. It's a 1v1 situation. Um, no, don't get me wrong. I did hear about the hackers in Street Fighter and Tekken and stuff like that. Um, but more than likely you can cheese them into winning because like maybe the bot can't do certain things or read certain things, whatever the case may be, and you probably won't have to deal with that until higher tiers. And yeah, it's just very unique in that situation. Like even fighting games are becoming hackable and people are hacking in a fighting game. And I would say hacking in like a first person shooter, as wrong as it is, hacking in a fighting game seems weird as fuck. Like both of them should be weird, right? But I don't know. I don't know why in my brain it's more socially acceptable for a hacker to be hacking in like a first person shooter than it is socially acceptable for a hacker to be hacking in a fighting game. Because in the fighting game, you have to learn. input, input lag, frame data, crouching frame data, hitbox detection, hitbox hurtbox, or your hurt boxes as well, the hurt box range, the hitbox range. And I say that I'm listening to myself like, yo, that's why people were fucking hacking. But it's just like, what did you get out of it though? It's just like like you're not being impressed by it. You're not impressing anyone. You know, like at least on like a first person shooter, like you're in a team, and like I guess your main goal is to impress other people because you're on the team and you're going against another team, and you're like, look at me, 1v5 this whole team, bro, 1v9 this whole team. But like with a with fighting games, 99% of the time it's just you and the other opponent. Who are you trying to impress? Well, who are you doing this for? And then like a lot of these hackers, they aren't streaming. So it's just like, who are you doing? It's weird, bro. It's just really fucking weird. Um, so that's as an older gamer, I can't really wrap my brain around that at all. Also, as an older gamer, I used to not be able to wrap my brain around buying skins and free to play games. But fuck it, I mean, I play League and it's a free to play game, and I buy skins or whatever, and that's their primary source of revenue and everything. Um, I am of the belief that it's funny that we went through this renaissance already, right? Where every game is almost online, right? And now we're on this thing where like I see certain people who are like, oh, we don't need video games on every video game to be online. And I agree with that take as well. But we went through this again. Like in the 2010s, every video game had an offline mode, but they shoehorned they shoehorned an offline mode in, like a single player campaign, or they uh they were strictly like their main focus was online, or they shoehorned the online mode in or whatever. And that significantly took away from like Dead Space 3 is a prime example of this. It had a co-op mode that no one fucking asked for. And the game primarily went more so action based or whatever. Um and it's like, I guess that where did you take the franchise of Dead Space 2? It was inevitable to happen. But no one asked for the online portion, the co-op portion. And they actually shoehorned that in because EA was like, we want co-op, we want online. Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil 5, it kind of shoehorned in that online aspect, and it really took away from the survival horror aspect of the games and stuff like that. And other games like forced online or whatever the case may be, or even forced a single player like thing that happened or whatever the case may be. And I don't know. I think those are like there's nothing wrong with like having like, oh, like an online death match or whatever, but like now I see people complain about it and I see the trends over again, and it's like, damn, we're going through the same cycle again. Like we had a resurgence of like single player games for a minute, and now it just shifted to online, and now it's shifting back to single player games, whatever the case may be. And I think it's just very interesting how like history repeats itself, and I think this is also another reason why preserving game history is so important, so that we can learn from our mistakes from the past, or whatever the case may be. Um, and it's very interesting. Gaming is one of those industries where there are very few boomers. So I can't blame anything but late Gen Xers and early adopted millennials. Because they run the industry now. And this is mainly millennials' fault. Now, as far as like the executives, they may still be controlled by boomers, but like it is the millennials' fault because we're taking the reins of this industry. And I think it's time for us to shift gears, like really show young gamers what it's about. Because after like the millennials die out, or we just stop buying video games, there will be no more video game industry as far as consoles and stuff like that. They probably are going to be gaming on mobile and stuff like that. So you really want to try to, in my opinion, it's almost like the construction industry, right? How they're having a labor shortage, and they're keeping the old people around to try to teach the younger generation how to do it or whatever. I think we need to start that now as far as gaming. We need to kind of like get them ready for like console gaming and stuff like that. Like it needs to start being hatched in now. Um both single player and multiplayer. And I also think like as far as like social skills, I think not only cons need to come back, or cons are back, right? They're in full force and the most popular thing. I think video game conferences, like we need a better E3. We need a better Summer Games Fest needs to be better and things of that nature. We need to get people hyped for games again. I think Gamescom actually did a really good job, or is doing a really good job actually. Um, but I think also the second part of that is we need more gamers to be social with each other, and we need some way for the games to kind of actually force us to be socialized, force us to socialize rather. Um, so I don't know. I think I think that's what I'm going to leave it off at. I, I don't know. Like, I really want to hear from like younger gamers. Like, do you guys want to be more social outside the discords and outside the game chats and stuff like that, or do you are you okay with just being, by yourself, even in a multiplayer game, feeling like you're by yourself and stuff like that? Because like Final Fantasy 14, for instance, is a I call it a single player MMO. Because that's how it feels. Whereas like World of Warcraft, you really felt into the or old World of Warcraft, rather classic. You felt like you were important to the world, but not the only person in the world, right? Um, and with Final Fantasy, they really make it an instance to make you feel like you are the warrior. Like this is your adventure. No one else really matters, right? Everyone else is like cannon fodder. And even in like League of Legends, they kind of make you feel like that too. Well, they don't make you feel like that, but like guides and how to get better and everything like that, they make you feel like only you matter, bro. And where I really think they should phrase it as is only you can control your own actions. That's what they're trying to teach, but the message is coming out wrong, in my opinion. And it's turning everybody into these like narcissistic gamers that don't really understand what a team game is or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. That's my thing. That's actually my players take reflections for today. Thank you for joining me on this ride. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.